Alright, so I just picked up a model 15-2 Dan Wesson 357 Magnum. I'm a little bit new to the whole Dan Wesson thing. My little brother has three of them. He's got a 357, a 44, and he just picked up a 22. And I just couldn't hear him talk anymore about them. So I figured I'd pony up and buy one. This is a 6-inch model. When I bought it, it had the styrofoam from 1982, I believe. These things are kind of harder to date. And it had the limited warranty, which I don't think is a thing anymore. And also the original manual, the instruction booklet. In here, I found some pretty cool stuff. I always thought these things, I could never tell if they were hunting guns or match guns. But it says right here, fewest parts of any revolver in the for any competition revolver. So these things are known to have a very short double action and a single action with no take-up. I guess that when shooting pistol matches was rage, these things were spot on. So just make sure she's empty there. And I could totally agree with that. It is a very short, yet very smooth double action. And the single action is in fact no creep at all. Really cool revolver. I brought a Model 27 Highway Patrolman out here just to compare guns. And it's very similar in weight, but I'm liking the Dan Wesson. I got about a dozen Smith & Wessons. But this is something new, something cool. So when you see these guns at a gun show or you see them at a gun shop and you look at the left side of these things, you can always tell a Smith from a Colt or anything like that, mostly because of the release. Well, the Dan Wesson release is very different. Instead of pushing forward, you're going to pull down and kick that cylinder right out. At first, I was like, man, that's goofy. But the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, you know what? If you're reloading with two hands, speed loader in the right, you could probably boot that out and reload it quicker. Maybe. I don't know. But I definitely think it's cool, and I definitely think it locks up better. So these things were known as like Swiss Army guns. I know a couple people with the 2.5-inch models and the 8-inch models. My little brother has the pistol pack, which came in like a 70s style suitcase. And his has 8-inch barrel, 6-inch barrel, 4-inch barrel, and I think a 2.5. And I wanted to show you guys how you can take that apart real easy. So these things were pretty much just like I said, a Swiss Army revolver, but they handled stiffer reloads, shorter trigger pull, and some say a better single action trigger than a Smith. I don't know if I'm there yet for that, but I'm going to put some more rounds through it, see how I like it. I put about 50 rounds through this thing between 357 and 38, and averaged about a 2.5, maybe a 3-inch group, but that's mostly me and it being like 10 degrees out. So we're going to pop this sucker apart. What you want to look for here is the 2 notches on the Dan Wessons. And you also have your little tool that if you lose is about 70 bucks. Don't ever lose these things. These teeth here are going to match up to the barrel retaining nut. Give it a little twist. It'll come right out. Then your barrel shroud pops right off. And now you have your threaded 357 Magnum barrel. And this is really kind of cool. You can pop this sucker right off. And that's your 357 Magnum barrel. Now these things, I mean, the 6-inch barrel is pretty cool, but it's just so cool to me that you could pop on a 2.5-inch or put on an 8-inch barrel and have like a totally different handgun. I gotta check this, but I believe that this cylinder assembly will come right off as well. I haven't messed around with that. That's another day. So another cool thing about these, I'm going to take the grip off here. You got a tubular spring in there. Now, anybody that knows the Smith & Wesson, I probably should have taken the grips off of this thing. But the Smith & Wessons have a flat mainspring in here. Now, that's like having a truck leaf spring in your handgun. What's cool about the cylindrical or the tubular springs is you could drop another one in there a little bit lighter or a little bit stiffer, or you can even maintenance them or tune up the trigger a little bit easier than with the Smith & Wesson flat springs there. You see this design, and I think a lot of the Taurus firearms, I have one of the Judges, and a lot of the other firearms like the Taurus, those frames have the tubular mainspring. Tighten that guy up. We'll put the barrel back in. Back that up a little bit. Good deal. Now comes the part where I might have messed up when I put it together the other day. I'm still pretty new to this. You get a heck of a gap there. So this is your feeler gauge. And let's see if I can get the camera to pick it up here. It is at 0.006. What we're going to do is we're going to space this right between the cylinder and the forcing cone / barrel. Now, the other day when I did it, I smashed it a little bit too tight. When I did that, just like that, if you have it too tight, you're going to have it binding up, the action binding up. So you want a little bit of resistance, is what the manual says. I'll put this on here. Now, the other thing I was reading was that this little guy here, I want to make sure that that's good to go, that it's out and that it's proper as far as being in place there. And what that does is it locks onto this barrel shroud. That makes it so you have a straight firearm. It's not wonky or crooked or anything like that. So after that's in there, it takes a lot of the guesswork right out. We're going to rethread this. Put our tool in there. And we shouldn't have any binding. We should make sure it's, yep, looks straight. Yeah, she's pretty smooth. I think I'll keep the wood grips on here instead of these pack Myers that came with it, unless I take it deer hunting. So we'll see how it goes. Appreciate you guys hanging out to the end. Take care and have a good night.